space station Nexus Prime rotated lazily against the backdrop of 3 purple suns, its chrome spires gleaming like the universe's most expensive kitchen utensil. Deep within its bowels, the Galactic Military Academy hummed with the nervous energy of 100 different species, trying not to accidentally declare war on each other during lunch break. Instructor Vex Thul stood at attention in Training Bay 7, his 4 muscular arms crossed in what he considered an intimidating display of Zentorian superiority. His granite gray skin practically radiated smugness as he surveyed his latest batch of cadets. 12 different species sat before him in neat rows, each one representing their homeworld's finest military specimens. Well, 11 species anyway. The 12th was human. Jake Mitchell slouched in the back row like he was waiting for a bus that was already 20 minutes late. His standard-issue academy uniform looked like he'd slept in it, which he probably had, and his dark hair stuck up at angles that defied both gravity and military regulation. While every other cadet sat ramrod straight, Jake had somehow managed to prop his feet up on the desk in front of him. "Welcome, cadets, to Advanced Combat Theory," Vex Thul announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd never met a mirror he didn't like. "I am Instructor Vex Thul, veteran of 14 galactic conflicts and holder of the Zentorian Medal of Superior Violence." A few cadets murmured appreciatively. Jake yawned. "Over the next cycle, you will learn what separates true warriors from mere pretenders," Vex Thul continued, his 4 eyes scanning the room with predatory satisfaction. "Some of you come from proud warrior cultures. The Krell Nox, with their acid-based combat techniques. The crystalline Vorthak, masters of energy warfare. The hive-minded Char-Tak, whose coordinated attacks have dominated battlefields for millennia." His gaze landed on Jake with obvious disdain. "And then we have Earth's contribution." Jake gave a lazy wave without looking up from his tablet, where he appeared to be playing some sort of game involving colorful geometric shapes. "The human species," Vex Thul said, his voice dripping with the kind of condescension usually reserved for explaining quantum physics to houseplants, "represents an interesting case study in evolutionary failure. No natural weapons, no enhanced abilities, no specialized combat adaptations. Frankly, I'm not sure how your species managed to avoid extinction long enough to develop space travel." "Lucky, I guess," Jake replied without missing a beat, still focused on his game. A series of electronic beeps and chirps suggested he was winning. Several alien cadets chittered among themselves in languages that sounded like industrial accidents. Vex Thul's primary arms flexed with barely contained irritation. "Perhaps," the instructor said slowly, "a practical demonstration would be more effective than theory." Vex Thul gestured with all 4 arms, and the air above his desk shimmered into a 3-dimensional holographic display. Combat statistics materialized in glowing blue text, accompanied by spinning models of various weapons and battle scenarios. "Let us examine the combat records of our distinguished cadets," he announced with the enthusiasm of a game show host about to ruin someone's day. Cadet Thorax of the Krell Nox Acid Spitters. A lizard-like creature with glistening green scales straightened proudly as his stats appeared: 847 confirmed kills, 12 major battle commendations, a survival rate of 94.3%. "Impressive," Vex Thul nodded. Cadet Zephyr of the Vorthak Crystal Warriors. A being that looked like a walking chandelier somehow managed to preen as her numbers materialized: 1,203 energy-based eliminations, 8 planetary defense medals, 96.7% mission success rate. One by one, the instructor displayed each cadet's achievements. The insectoid Char-Tak demonstrated swarm coordination stats that would make a computer jealous. The amphibious Glurb High showed underwater combat records spanning 7 ocean worlds. Even the diminutive Pipsqueak had managed an impressive stealth operation count, despite looking like a furry tennis ball with anger issues. "And now," Vex Thul said, his voice practically purring with anticipated satisfaction, "let us examine the combat record of our human representative." Jake finally looked up from his tablet with mild interest, like someone checking the weather forecast for a planet he'd never visit. The hologram flickered, processing data. Then the numbers began to appear. Confirmed eliminations, 50,847. The room fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems having an existential crisis. Mission success rate, 99.7%. Several cadets made sounds that their universal translators refused to process, presumably because they didn't want to be accessories to whatever was happening. Survival rate, 100% across 12,847 combat scenarios. Specialized weapons mastery, 247 different combat systems. Vehicle operation certifications, 89 categories including atmospheric, underwater, orbital, and something listed as unreasonably fast ground-based death machines. Vexthul stared at the display like it had just insulted his mother in 14 different languages simultaneously. His granite skin shifted through several shades of gray that probably had names like existential dread and oh no, what have I done? There must be some mistake, he muttered, frantically gesturing at the hologram. Computer, verify data source. Data verified. The ship's AI responded in a tone suggesting it was enjoying this far too much. Records obtained directly from Earth Military Command, cross-referenced with Terran combat training databases. Jake stretched and cracked his knuckles with the casual air of someone who'd just been told the weather was nice. Yeah, that sounds about right, though I think it's missing my laser tag scores from last summer. Those were pretty solid. Laser tag? Vexthul's voice cracked slightly. You know, tactical combat simulation with photon-based targeting systems, Jake explained helpfully. Great for working on your reflexes. I'm ranked third in the North American circuit, but only because Dave Morrison has more free time than any human being should reasonably possess. The Krelnok cadet, thorax, made a sound like steam escaping from a very confused kettle. You mean to say these statistics represent recreational activities? Jake shrugged. Well, not just laser tag. There's also paintball, Call of Duty tournaments, airsoft leagues, tactical gaming competitions, survival camping, martial arts classes. And my weekend job at the haunted house where I had to chase people around with various weapons while they screamed and ran away. Good cardio, actually. Vexthul's forearms began making gestures that looked like he was either conducting an invisible orchestra or having a very animated argument with the concept of reality itself. This cannot be accurate. No species achieves combat statistics of this magnitude through recreational pursuits. Computer, he barked, establish communication with Earth Military Command. I demand verification of these impossible records. The holographic display shifted to show the weathered face of a human woman in military dress uniform. Her name tag read Admiral Rodriguez, and she had the expression of someone who'd been expecting this call for approximately 17 years. Ah, you must be asking about Cadet Mitchell, she said before Vexthul could speak. Let me guess, you think our combat statistics are inflated? These numbers suggest your species has produced a warrior capable of single-handedly conquering star systems, Vexthul sputtered. The mathematical probability of such combat effectiveness is about average for anyone who grew up in a major metropolitan area. Admiral Rodriguez interrupted. Jake's actually on the lower end of our applicant pool. His younger sister has twice his confirmed eliminations, but she's still in high school. The collective sound of alien jaws dropping created a symphony that would have been beautiful if it weren't so deeply unsettling. You're telling me, said Zephyr the Vorthak, her crystalline voice ringing with disbelief, that humans routinely achieve combat mastery through entertainment? Jake nodded enthusiastically. Oh yeah, we love that stuff. My mom was worried I wasn't getting enough social interaction, so she signed me up for this thing called Competitive Team Fortress when I was 8. Turns out I'm pretty good at coordinated tactical operations under fire. Team Fortress is a video game, Admiral Rodriguez explained helpfully. We have an entire industry dedicated to combat simulation for recreational purposes. Jake here holds regional championships in 17 different tactical scenarios. But the weapon certifications, Vexthal protested weakly. The vehicle operations? Oh, that's just from summer camp, Jake said. Camp Hardcore teaches wilderness survival, tactical vehicle operation, and advanced weapons handling to kids ages 6 through 16. My favorite year was when we got to use the rocket launchers. But they made us sign so many waivers that I'm pretty sure I accidentally gave them the rights to my DNA. Admiral Rodriguez smiled with the pride of someone watching her species accidentally terrify the galaxy through perfectly normal childhood experiences. Earth's entertainment industry has been inadvertently preparing our population for military excellence for approximately 200 years. What you call advanced combat training, we call Tuesday night gaming with friends. The Chartak representative, a hive mind entity that spoke in harmonized clicks and buzzes, finally managed to form words. Your species practices warfare for amusement? Well, when you put it that way, it sounds weird, Jake replied. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, what else are you going to do with your free time? Watch romantic comedies? Vexthal slumped against his desk with the defeated posture of someone who just discovered that his life's work had been surpassed by a species' weekend hobbies. Show me, he said quietly. Show me these training methods. Jake perked up like someone who'd just been asked to explain their favorite movie. Oh, awesome. Computer, access my personal files, folder labeled Epic Gaming Moments. The holographic display filled with video footage that made several cadets question their life choices. Jake's weekend activities included rappelling down buildings while firing paint-based weapons at moving targets, navigating obstacle courses that looked like they'd been designed by someone with serious anger management issues, and participating in something called medieval combat reenactment, where humans in metal armor beat each other with swords for historical accuracy. This is from last month's airsoft tournament. Jake narrated as footage showed him coordinating a 12-person assault on a fortified position. We had to capture the flag while the other team defended with automatic weapons. I came up with this flanking maneuver where we used smoke grenades and coordinated timing too. You did this for fun? Thorax interrupted, his acid sacs visibly twitching. Oh yeah, it was great. We won the regional championship and got these awesome trophies shaped like tiny assault rifles. My mom put mine on the mantelpiece next to my soccer participation awards. More footage showed Jake's childhood progression through various combat-adjacent activities, Little League Baseball where children learned to throw projectiles with devastating accuracy, competitive swimming that built the kind of cardiovascular endurance that would make a Zentaurian Marine weep, and something called dodgeball that appeared to be training in evasive combat maneuvers disguised as elementary school physical education. Your species begins combat conditioning in childhood? Zephyr asked, her crystalline structure refracting light in patterns that suggested deep philosophical confusion. Well, we don't call it that, Jake replied. We call it playing outside. Though my neighborhood had this thing called Nerf War every summer where all the kids would divide into teams and have massive tactical engagements with foam-based weaponry. Mrs. Henderson from down the street always said we were too organized for our own good. The video showed a 10-year-old Jake leading a coordinated assault on a backyard fort while wielding what appeared to be a child-sized rocket launcher that fired harmless foam darts with military precision. The strategic thinking, the tactical coordination, the weapons handling, Vexthal muttered, it's all there. They're not just warriors, they're warriors who don't even realize they're warriors. Oh, we know, Jake said cheerfully. We just think it's fun. Earth's got this whole entertainment industry built around combat scenarios. Movies, games, books, sports, recreational activities, and competitive events. My girlfriend's into something called medieval combat reconstruction where people research historical battle techniques and then practice them on weekends while wearing authentic armor. Admiral Rodriguez's face reappeared on the display. Cadet Mitchell is actually fairly typical. Our recruitment standards have had to adapt to the reality that most Earth citizens accidentally achieve military proficiency through normal cultural participation. We mostly just teach them which end of the spaceship goes forward and hope for the best. Vexthul straightened with the desperate determination of someone clinging to the last fragments of his professional dignity. "Very well," he announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd decided that if he was going down, he was taking everyone with him. "If Cadet Mitchell believes his recreational activities constitute adequate military preparation, then perhaps he won't mind demonstrating his capabilities." Jake looked up from his tablet where he'd returned to his geometric puzzle game. "Sure, what did you have in mind? Please tell me it involves snacks." "The Nexus Prime Ultimate Combat Simulation," Vexthul declared with theatrical grandeur. "A planet-wide battlefield scenario featuring 10,000 enemy combatants, environmental hazards, and resource scarcity designed to push even our most elite graduates beyond their limits. The current Academy record is held by a Zentorian Special Forces graduate who managed to survive 47 minutes. Several cadets made sounds of reverent awe. The ultimate combat simulation was legendary throughout the Academy, being spoken of in whispers and used primarily as a threat against cadets who failed to properly fold their uniforms. "Sounds fun," Jake said, setting down his tablet and stretching like someone preparing for a light jog. "Fair warning, though, I haven't had my coffee yet, so I might be a little sluggish for the first few minutes." The simulation chamber was a marvel of holographic technology and sadistic engineering that capable of creating virtually any combat environment the galaxy could imagine and several it probably shouldn't. As Jake stepped into the central platform, the other cadets gathered around viewing screens with the fascination of scientists observing a particularly interesting explosion. "Computer, initiate ultimate combat simulation. Full difficulty parameters," Vexthul commanded. "Simulation beginning," the AI announced. "Good luck, Cadet Mitchell. Try not to die too quickly." The chamber dissolved into a war-torn landscape that looked like someone had taken a perfectly nice planet and subjected it to the combined attention of several very creative destruction enthusiasts. Burning cities dotted the horizon, the sky rained acid, and hostile combatants materialized in every direction with the enthusiasm of a universe that had clearly run out of nice things to do to people. Jake surveyed his surroundings with the casual interest of someone checking out a new restaurant menu. "Oh, nice. This reminds me of that level in Apocalypse Simulator 3000 where you had to survive the zombie robot uprising. I spent like 200 hours perfecting my strategy for that one." He ducked under incoming fire while simultaneously grabbing a discarded weapon, checking its ammunition capacity, and commenting to his audience. See, the trick with scenarios like this is resource management and positioning. You want to find high ground with multiple escape routes, establish a supply line, and create choke points where you can control enemy movement. Within minutes, Jake had commandeered an abandoned vehicle, established a fortified position, and begun systematically eliminating enemies with the kind of tactical precision that made the watching cadets question everything they thought they knew about warfare. "Oh, this is just like that paintball tournament in Nevada," he called out while simultaneously operating two different weapon systems and coordinating defensive positions, except with more explosions and significantly less arguing about whether someone was actually eliminated or just pretending. He paused to eat a sandwich he'd apparently brought with him, answering enemy fire with one hand while taking deliberate bites with the other. "You know, this simulation has really good physics modeling. Whoever programmed this definitely played their share of tactical shooters." 23 minutes into the simulation, Jake had not only survived but had actually begun counterattacking, pushing back against the overwhelming enemy forces with the kind of strategic brilliance that would have made historical military leaders weep with professional jealousy. "Computer," he called out while diving behind cover and somehow managing to text someone on his personal device. "Is there a way to increase the difficulty? This feels kind of easy compared to my guild's raid nights." The simulation ended with Jake standing victorious atop a pile of defeated enemies, having not only survived but actually conquered the entire scenario in a record-breaking 18 minutes and 37 seconds. He brushed imaginary dust off his uniform and walked out of the chamber like someone finishing a particularly satisfying workout. "That was pretty fun," he announced to the stunned silence of the observation room. The environmental effects were really well designed, though the enemy AI could use some work. They kept falling for the same flanking maneuver I use in Galaxy Conquest Online. Vexthol stood frozen in what could only be described as the physical manifestation of having one's entire worldview systematically dismantled by someone who considered it light entertainment. His forearms hung limply at his sides, and his granite skin had achieved a shade of gray that probably had a technical name like philosophical crisis or existential breakdown. "Computer," he whispered, "verify simulation results." Simulation completed successfully, the AI replied with what sounded suspiciously like amusement. A new academy record established. Previous record holder lasted 47 minutes. Cadet Mitchell completed full scenario objectives in 18 minutes, 37 seconds, while maintaining communication with external parties and consuming recreational nutrition. The other cadet stared at Jake like he'd just casually mentioned that his hobby was rearranging solar systems for artistic purposes. "So," said Thorax carefully, "your species accidentally achieved military supremacy through entertainment?" Jake shrugged. "I guess. We just like doing stuff that's challenging and fun. Competition's good for you. Builds character and hand-eye coordination. Plus, it's a great way to hang out with friends." Admiral Rodriguez reappeared on the communication screen, clearly having monitored the entire event. "Cadet Mitchell, congratulations on your performance. Effective immediately. You're being promoted to assistant instructor status. Your new responsibilities include developing training protocols that might actually challenge your classmates without causing them to question the fundamental nature of reality." "Sweet," Jake replied. "Do I get a cooler uniform? Please tell me it comes with more pockets." Over the following days, Jake found himself in the unprecedented position of teaching alien cadets how to approach combat with the same casual competence humans brought to weekend hobbies. His first lesson, Advanced Tactical Gaming, Why Team Coordination is Like Playing Co-op with Your Friends, was attended by every military instructor on the station. The key thing to remember, Jake explained to a room full of the galaxy's supposedly finest military minds, is that combat is basically just problem-solving with more explosions. You want to think of each enemy as a puzzle piece that needs to be removed from the board in the most efficient way possible. Vexthol, who had spent the week filing increasingly desperate reports to Galactic Command with titles like Urgent, the humanity accidentally militarized through recreation and request for immediate psychological evaluation of human combat doctrine, sat in the front row taking notes with the dedication of someone trying to understand a concept that defied comprehension. "Any questions?" Jake asked as he wrapped up his demonstration of what he called tactical multitasking, which appeared to involve conducting military operations while simultaneously maintaining social media presence and ordering pizza. Zephyr raised what might have been a crystalline appendage. "Cadet Mitchell, what do you plan to do now that you've discovered your recreational activities constitute advanced military training?" Jake grinned with the enthusiasm of someone who'd just been told Christmas was being extended indefinitely. "Well, I'm really excited to try the Academy's actual combat training programs. I mean, if this is what passes for advanced military education in the galaxy, just imagine how awesome the real stuff is going to be." In his quarters that evening, Vexthol stared at his final report to Galactic Command. The document, titled Species Assessment, Humanity, Recommendation for Immediate Diplomatic Alliance, and Please Do Not Make Them Angry, sat on his desk like a confession of professional inadequacy. He thought about Jake's casual mention of his younger sister, who apparently held regional championships in something called competitive strategy gaming, and decided that maybe a career change was in order. Perhaps something peaceful, like interstellar gardening or professional meditation instruction. Anything that didn't involve trying to teach warfare to a species that had already mastered it by accident and thought it was fun.